7 of the most common draft day mistakes I've seen people make time and time again, including myself. I'm still trying to get better. I'm Ron. This is Never Lucky. We know ball. We just have zero luck here. This is part 1 of my draft day starter pack. Tomorrow, we're doing ADP landmines. On Wednesday, ADP gold mines. These are players you should be targeting. Thursday, we're doing a draft day blueprint. These are going to cover different draft strategies that you should be attempting. We're going to do some mock drafts. Friday, it's my dream team. These are the 5 players I'm planting my flag on. A lot of people call them my guys. I'm calling it my dream team. And let's hop into the first one. It's mistake number 1, and it is not using tier-based drafting, man. In my first year playing fantasy football, I had a Matthew Berry rankings cheat sheet. I had a belly full of $5 hot and ready Little Caesars pizza, and I had no clue how to draft, man. I just went down the list, drafting the next best available, not really sure what I was doing. Today, man, it's legit, dude. I walk in with like tier-based rankings. It's all color-coded. I'm a straight-up nerd when it comes to fantasy football, man. Now, to quickly explain tier-based rankings, it's essentially value drafting, but we're kicking it up a notch. The gist is that you want to group players with similar projected value together, and then you draft based on the drop-off. So, for example, let's pretend it's round 3. You have one running back, one wide receiver on your team. It's now your pick. You're on the clock. If you're using tier-based rankings, you know who to pick based on who's still available in certain tiers, right? So you can go either direction. You can go with a running back, you can go with a wide receiver. If you have your players listed through tiers, you know that there are like, 7 tier 1 running backs. Let's say you're not sure whether you want to take a running back or a wide receiver. You see that there's still a tier 1 running back available, but all the tier 1 wide receivers are gone. That's when you want to go with the tier players. So it's essentially like horizontally ranking players based on tiers. The second mistake that people make is sticking to a meta before you draft. Look, there's zero RB, hero RB, double wide receiver, late round QB. There's so many different strategies. As I mentioned, I'm going to be releasing a video on, I believe I said Thursday, where we're going to talk about the draft strategies and when you want to employ them. There's so many out there, man. We can't just follow them to a T. You can't go into your draft just having one in mind and sticking to that. This isn't League of Legends, dude. This is not one of those situations where you have a meta, you have a build, and you're just going to build it regardless because you think it's the best one. We have to kind of know how people draft in our leagues, right? How our friends draft. For example, I have a friend, man, where I'm pretty sure, I'm like 93% sure that he doesn't even watch football. He auto drafts most of the time. He'll take like Josh Allen in the first round, and then he'll just mess up the ADPs, right? He doesn't watch YouTube videos. He's not on fantasy Twitter. This dude doesn't really give a fuck, to be honest, just to put it bluntly. And because of that, we kind of have to work around that. Like if I'm drafting around this dude, I'm either shaking in my boots or I'm like, hell yeah, he's definitely not going to take the dude I'm going to take. So you just never know, right? And because of that, don't stick to a meta, man. Have these draft strategies in mind where you know, like, all right, the draft board is developing this way. People are, certain players are getting scooped up way earlier. People are going running back heavy. As long as you know what types of builds you can employ and how to best do it in 2025, just make sure you stay water, you stay flexible, and you know like what types of strategies you can then employ when the draft is shaking out a certain way or presenting itself a certain way. And the third mistake is panicking when that plan breaks down. So let's say you lock into one plan or the draft board starts to present itself. You're like, all right, I'm going double hero RB, right? The way to avoid panicking when maybe players start maybe there's like a huge running back run, right before your pick. You want it to go double hero RB. Let's say it doesn't shake out that way. Here's an example, man. I drafted at the 2 spot. I took Gibbs. Swinging back around, there's a massive running back run. And I noticed that all the running backs that I personally love are gone, right? Jonathan Taylor, Chase Brown, Josh Jacobs, Kyron Williams. It's like the end of a tier. It's the end of that first or second tier, however you have it tiered. So either you settle for like a tier 3 shaky running back that you're not really in love with, right? Or you take AJ Brown, who's sitting there on the board. He's still a tier 1 wide receiver, or you pivot and take a tier 1 quarterback like Josh Allen or like Lamar Jackson or even Jaden Daniels if you prefer him. So that's when you want to make sure you're combining basically all of these mistakes that people make. You can combine strategies and they kind of build on each other, right? You have the tiers, you have the draft strategies, and then you know not to take like a third tier running back who's not going to really help you as much as maybe a Josh Allen would. So that's the third mistake. Moving on now to the fourth mistake that people make: fear of reaching, man. Do not be scared to reach. Listen, in 2025, I'm just going to straight up say it. I'm probably going to be reaching for Josh Downs and a couple other guys like Trevion Henderson in pretty much all my leagues. I'm going to take them a full round, maybe even 2 rounds early. And my friends will call me gay. They will say, Ron, you are gay. You're bad at fantasy. They're going to roast me, dude. And I have to accept that. Because in 2 months, when I'm last place, and I'm going to keep giving excuses about why Josh Downs is great, but it's the system, it's the coaching staff. No, I'm kidding. But seriously, we have to have conviction, man. Reach for those players that you want. If you want Josh Downs, if you want Trevion Henderson, take him in the 3rd round, dude. Fuck it. Go for upside, swing for the fences. And there's nothing wrong with that anyway, man. If your friends call you gay, dude, doesn't matter. There's nothing wrong with that, dude. You can do whatever you want in your private life. Do not let that stop you from reaching for players. And the 5th mistake is ignoring training camp signals. Now, listen, training camp and preseason, I'm gonna lump them together. Most of preseason and training camp is useless. Most of it, right? There's a lot of like narratives and little like beat reports that come out. Most of the time, there's not much to them. Sometimes there are with some coaches. There's a great Twitter account called Coach Speak Index. Go check it out, dude. It's a great account where he tracks essentially what coaches say about players. And then there's like a percent reliability rating or how reliable is the coach in the past. It's a great little resource to if you're like one of these geeks or one of these nerds about training camp and stuff, you can follow that. It's a great account. Let me show you guys my rankings. I have moved Tony Pollard, Tracy, Etienne, and Baishal Tune all up my rankings. Consequently, I moved Caleb Johnson down. Right, so that's just an example. This is a snapshot of a small little segment of my rankings. Now, why did I do that? Pollard moved up because Spears gets a seemingly high ankle sprain. Tracy moves up because Skatibo is dealing with, or Skatibo, I don't know how to say his fucking name. He's been dealing with injuries, like pretty brutal injuries. He hasn't really practiced. He hasn't really been on the field. He's not kind of creating rapport with the team. He's not cementing himself. He's not making big plays anymore. Tracy, the coaching staff said he cemented the backfield. That's all Tracy now moving forward. So we need to make sure that we're watching this stuff and that we're ranking guys accordingly. And that's kind of my job. That's kind of what I do. That's why hopefully you guys follow the channel, that I am staying on top of that kind of stuff and I'm adjusting my ranks accordingly. And moving on now to mistake number 6. It's called the anatomy of a good player, or understanding the anatomy of a good player, or not understanding, I guess would be the mistake. Forget all the data, all the nerd shit for a second. In 2024, Saquon Barkley dominated, bro. He dominated. The Eagles won the Super Bowl. He was the RB1 in fantasy. The same year, Brees Hall, also a phenomenal talent, according to everyone, he was RB17. He was on a bad team. So we have a good player on a good team, RB1. Good player on a bad team, RB17. Now, for running backs, what that tells me, it's a lot deeper than this, but what it tells me is that we draft for talent and situation. You don't just draft talent, you go for talent and situation. Obviously, as the draft moves along, you're not going to get both talent and a great situation. That's why rankings exist. That's how people typically draft. But, try to keep that in mind when you are like debating between two players. Maybe you're debating between like a James Cook, right, in like the 2nd round, and maybe like a Kenneth Walker. You're debating between these two players. We know that James Cook's going to be on like one of the best offenses in the NFL, while Kenneth Walker is going to be on potentially a bad offense led by Sam Darnold. Even though Kenneth Walker is a much better running back pound for pound than James Cook, that might be a situation where you lean toward James Cook because he's in a slightly better situation. Now you can make arguments that maybe Kenneth Walker's in a better situation because James Cook was losing snaps and he's got Ray Davis behind him. So that's why we have to debate these things, right? But just keep that stuff in mind when it's a lot more clear, right? Because that's kind of an unclear situation. But for wide receivers, Malik Neighbors had literally bust stop Magoo, dude. Uncle Rico throwing him the football, and the Giants won 3 games. But he was wide receiver 6 on the season. Brian Thomas Jr., same type of situation. Wide receiver 4, dude. The Jaguars won what, 4 games, 3 games last season? Mac Jones was fucking throwing him the ball at the end of the year. He was actually better with Mac Jones. It was funny. It's much deeper, right? But for wide receivers, we draft talent. You go for talent and you go for opportunity, which I guess is also a situation, but it's not necessarily that the team has to be very good. So just to kind of wrap that up, pack that up, and gift wrap it for you guys. RBs, talent, and whether the team is good, the situation, right? Make sure that they get opportunity and that their team is actually going to be good. For wide receivers, the team doesn't have to be that good. They can be a dog shit team. Ergo, Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas Jr. So I'll be releasing a video series next week, which is called the Anatomy series. It's going to be the anatomy of wide receiver, running back, quarterback, tight end, like the anatomy of what makes a good player. I'm going to dive deeper into the data. I'm going to try to keep it high enough level so that, the more casual people who are just trying to get the info quicker can get it. But stay tuned for that, man. Make sure you guys like this video. Make sure you guys subscribe to catch those future series. I'm putting a lot of effort on these guys, man. It'll help so much, dude. Blow up the video, like it as much as you can. It's the best way to help, dude. You don't have to go to my Patreon. You don't have to subscribe to my $9 tier. You don't have to get all my draft rankings and my draft kit. You don't have to do that, man. You don't. But you can just like the video. That's the best way to show support. And we'll move on now to the last mistake. It's mistake number 7. avoiding upside players, bro. I see it time and time again, man. We go into our drafts, people see a player like Kyle Williams for the Patriots, who he's got the most upside because ahead of him he's got Stephon Diggs. You know, he's on an ascending offense with Drake May as a quarterback, a new coaching staff. He's dynamic, he's explosive. You know, but he's a rookie. I haven't really seen him play. Instead, I'll go and I'll grab Cooper Cup. Um, Last year, people were doing that a lot, dude. They were fading Malik Neighbors because he didn't have a QB. They faded Brock Bowers because he was a rookie, or Saquon Barkley because, you know, Jalen Hurts steals a lot of touchdowns. People were even fading Jahmyr Gibbs because they were scared that David Montgomery would take a lot of work from him. I mean, Jahmyr Gibbs was like running back 4 in points per game, even with Monty. When Monty was gone, Jahmyr Gibbs was the RB1, 32 fantasy points per game. He was, you know, Christian McCaffrey levels of awesome. All of those players essentially won people leagues, man. Not only did they help people get to the playoffs, they were dynamic. They were fantastic in the playoffs, right? Scoring 30 points. Malik Neighbors in the championship game had like 32 fantasy points, popped off for like 2 touchdowns. You know, Brock Bowers was just really good, really stable and solid the entire season. So there are some knives we don't want to fall under. We don't want to lay under a falling knife most of the time. You don't want to always go for upside when it's not insulated, when there's not like signals that tell us that this is like an upside player that we can take the risk on, right? The value has to be there, the situation has to be there, the opportunity has to be there. You know, my life's work is to find those falling knives we do want to get under. Holy shit, that's depressing that that's my life's work, or at least that's my current version of Ron's life's work, man. I'm just trying to get better at fantasy and trying to help you guys, bro. As I mentioned, this channel, the name is Never Lucky because we're never lucky, bro. We do all the research. We know ball, but luck just doesn't go our way, bro. We can't win our championships. I'm trying to just close that gap, dude, and help you guys. So let's recap this, dude. Let's recap the mistakes. We'll do it really quick, dude. We'll shotgun them off. Number one, you want to use tier-based drafting. Number two, don't lock into one meta or one draft strategy. Number three, have a backup plan. So make sure you have multiple strategies locked in. Don't be afraid to reach for players, you know, even if your friends call you gay. Pay attention to training camp signals. Make sure you're staying on top of stuff. It's just a good way to make sure you're aware of what's happening so that you don't go into your draft not knowing shit. Know the anatomy of a good player. Again, stay tuned. I'm going to release a series next week about the anatomy of a good player. Stop avoiding upside players, but go for upside because that's how you win championships. That's how you win in fantasy football. Either get first or get last. Or, I mean, don't get last. You don't want to be wearing a fucking dress in a Denny's, smashing pancakes. But, yeah, man. If you nail those, dude, you're going to be ready to draft better than half your league. And in tomorrow's video, as I mentioned, we're going to be doing ADP minefields. These are players you want to stay away from, bro. These are ADP traps. They look safe, but they're going to sink your team, bro. Before week 1, you're already going to be playing from behind. And if you guys want to get like more up-to-date stuff, I'm trying to get my Discord going, dude. I have a couple people. We've had some conversation, but not a lot. It's empty, dude. I'm trying to get it going. If you guys want to join the Discord, you guys can shoot me messages in there. We can talk ball. We can debate players and all that kind of stuff. The link is in the description. You guys can join the Patreon. I have a bunch of free resources already on the Patreon. I have like an O-line report where I went and I got all the different publications and online websites who do offensive line rankings. I consolidated them into one like consensus ranking. I think that's really helpful for when you're targeting running backs. I have a couple other free stuff on there. Go check that out, man. That does it for this video. I'll see you guys tomorrow.